I will start with my name is Jessica Flores. It is still popping up Jessica Reed on Zoom. I don't know how to fix it. I've tried numerous times, and thank you, Joe Danner. I appreciate you. Gorgeous. Um, but my name is Jessica Flores. That is new as of last September. We are coming up on our 1 year anniversary already somehow. Holy cow. Being a COVID bride was also something I never dreamed of. And it was something, but we made it through and here we are. So like I said, the last 5 years is typically what I like to go through just because it is the crazy wild ride that I never saw coming. But I also want to start that with, a lot of times with this opportunity, people think you have to be a certain person, be a certain way, look a certain way, talk a certain way, act a certain way. And I will tell you that that is the furthest from the truth. What you're seeing right now is nothing what the past 10 days have looked like. And I typically show up. I showed up in my stories and in my posts, like looking a hot mess, like, wow, what is she doing? And it took becoming part of a community like this for me to understand that that was okay. People who love you are going to love you no matter what. And those who are going to hate on you are going to hate on you no matter what. There's literally nothing you can do. And it's not my job to change people's minds. And their opinions of me are none of my business. It took becoming part of this community. It took 35 hard years of trying to people please my way through life and be a little perfectionist and just hope that everybody loved me and not sharing an opinion because it might rock the boat. Like, that is no way to live at all. That took me through multiple abusive relationships because I wouldn't stand up for myself. So that's like a little precursor to who the heck I am today and who you guys see on here today. Kind of going back also, I was never taught to do makeup. My mom is not somebody involved in the beauty industry at all. She doesn't care about that stuff. But what she did teach me was how to stand up for myself. It kind of fell to the wayside. But she did teach me that. She's a very strong woman. She's very strong, opinionated. She doesn't really care what anybody thinks. And I love that about her. She was more sports and we went fishing all the time and we did all those things, which was really cool. And I'm glad I know those things. But I also never really got to be that girly girl. A couple of my aunts, my mom is one of 16. And so I have a lot of aunts, and some of my aunts and I and my cousins will joke, like, I think we got our moms switched because I have aunts that are super girly, super fun, super frivolous. And like, oh my gosh, they are much more seen like the person that I wanted to be, I should say. So I wasn't ever taught how to do makeup. Skincare was not something I ever knew anything about. Those were things that kind of, as I went through high school, I had older cousins. I would play with like their blue eyeliner, which it's coming back, y'all, I'm telling you. But I would play with their makeup. They at least let me play and try to be creative, which is something else I have told myself my entire life that I was not. I had this in my head that I was not creative, that I wasn't artistic. I didn't get those parts of my family's gene pool because they are all extremely talented in that. And tracing it back, like I can literally trace it back to the moment in time when I did a piece of artwork and my aunt made a comment about it. And it just crushed me. And you guys, I was probably in first grade, second grade. And it just the other day that it hit me that that's where that lie kind of started. So we can go 30 plus years telling ourselves the same lies over and over and over again, that we have to eventually, we have to dig down into that and figure out where that came from so we can heal from it and move on. So I wasn't taught makeup, anything beauty related at all. I was never, I don't want to say taught to dream big, but I was never surrounded by people who dreamed big and dreamed out of living the normal standard life. It was, this is what you do. You know, you go to high school, you graduate. For my family, college wasn't a big thing for a majority of them. It was, you go to high school, you graduate, you get married, you have babies, and you just go happily along your life. You stay at home, he goes to work, and like the standard, that's what I grew up with. That's what my, I don't want to say role models, that's what my examples in my life were. And for the longest time, I went along with that. I went along with, well, I got to go to high school. I got to graduate. I got to go to college because you're supposed to. And you guys, college wasn't for me. School wasn't for me. I absolutely hated school. But I did it because I had to. and I did good enough to get by. I wasn't failing by any means. You are so darn sweet. So I followed societal norms for so long. And then thank God something smacked me when I was around 18. I did a police ride along and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to be a cop. Like I already kind of knew I wanted to do that. And then I did a ride along and it just solidified it. Like hardcore, you are not talking me out of this goal and dream. And again, that's one of those that as a little girl, I remember watching my grandpa pull up in his patrol car and bring us donuts in a Kansas City Star newspaper every single Sunday. He'd hit the sirens, he'd hit the lights, we got to see inside. Now, mind you, 1990 was like a whole lot different type of police world than it was when I was in there, and even more today. Like it's insane. But it kind of had that instilled in the back of me of like, oh, that'd be cool. And then all those shows came out like CSI and CSI Miami, and everything just looked so easy. And I wanted to be a detective. I was like, I want to serve my community and I want to put these dirtbags in jail. I want these families of these victims to have some kind of closure. I want these victims to have a voice. Like that was my whole mindset going into police work. It was not to be a patrol cop. It was not to be, oh, I just want to help people. Like that wasn't really me. I wanted to help people, but I wasn't just like, oh, whatever. And I know I shocked the panel when I told them that in my interview that I wanted to be a cop to put criminals in jail. Like that was my goal and give victims a voice. They were kind of like, whoa, that's not every day that we hear that. I was 20 years old when I interviewed, 21 when I started the academy, like 1 month into 21. And I started at Kansas City, Missouri. I grew up in a real small town, like 200 people in my town and like 40 people in my class for high school, like going to the big city. Like that was just like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a homicide detective. So I quit college, got into the police academy. That was 7 months of my life. It was like college for me, y'all. That was a blast. As much as we got our asses handed to us every single day, especially for somebody else doing something wrong, which I still don't understand, but I do. It was a blast. It was so much fun. 5 days in a row of work all day long. Friday night or Saturday night, I would pick one, usually Saturday. I would go on a ride along. I wanted to be a cop so bad. And I wanted to know, again, I was a perfectionist. I wanted to know that I knew everything I could do and I had done everything I could to be the best cop I could be. So every Saturday night for 7 months, I gave up my life to go ride along unarmed in a freaking police academy uniform. You definitely don't really look like a cop, to go learn my job. It was fantastic. I immersed myself in it. I loved it. I graduated and I did very well because I immersed myself in it. It was all I wanted to do. I knew I needed 3 years on the street and I could then put in for a detective. And I was like, yes. My first year, it was fun. I graduated. That was super exciting. To look back at those pictures is just like, whatever. Like, I can't believe that was me. But I graduated my first year. We had 7 officers shot in KCMO. And that was something I obviously knew could happen, but I didn't really grasp it. It was just that adrenaline rush, and I was young and I was dumb because I was not from the inner city. And I was just like, who could do that? Like, I guess it hadn't really hit home. And then it really hit home almost a year in. A good friend of mine that I was on, we were on the same watch, we call it, same team. Him and a couple other guys got in a foot chase. The guy pulled a gun and shot my friend in the foot. They ended up shooting and killing him. And you guys, that day, it was August of 2007. I can't remember which day. I want to say 3rd. That changed me. It changed that sweet little innocent, I just want to help this and that, like, person. And it did something. I felt it when it happened. When I watched this man die and I had nothing but hatred in my heart, I knew something had happened to me, and it wasn't good. It got me through. It kept me alive on the street, and it allowed me to do my job better as a cop. But it wasn't good. I started to see a downhill pattern of how I was treating people, how I was allowing the actions of others to influence how I was going to talk or to treat them. And it was just like, who am I? And then by Halloween 2009, I'm getting shot at. I get shot at by some piece of crap that thinks they have the right to do that. And I'm like, no, I just kind of, I mean, again, my training took over, and I still loved being a cop, but I just what's the point, honestly, is what I thought. And when my department didn't react the way I thought they would, when citizens think they can do that and it's now the norm, it just wasn't for me. I was like, you know what? I got to start figuring something else out. I still wanted to change the world. I still was young. I still thought I can change this world. How do I want to do it? I want to get into the medical field. Let me get in the medical field. That should be able to save people. That should be able to help people. That should be a much more positive place. It was okay. Like, I got my CNA license because I didn't want to pay for nursing school. I was like, let me just ease into this. I had to work in a nursing home. Treacherous, you guys. That is the most heartbreaking thing in the world. Wow. Finally got hired in a hospital on the oncology floor. I thought I could handle everything. I had watched people lay mangled in the streets for years. I thought, whatever, my grandma had cancer. I watched her go through everything for 14 years. No. Watching that every single day and seeing people's life changed with one word was not for me. I was like, get me the heck out of here. Get me back on the streets. I need to be a cop. I don't like this emotional BS. Like, just let me be back in that mode. Got hired back on another police department, a little safer, a little north of the river. But I still kept my strong attitude of, I'm going to put criminals in jail. I don't like seeing my city terrorized. I don't like seeing people feel violated. I don't like seeing any of that. So I did this other department. I went through the ranks. I did patrol about a year and a half. I let them know I'm going to be a detective here, just FYI. I told them I became a detective. I did detective for about a year and a half when I saw a need for leadership. This was a smaller department. They didn't have the same training that I had had. They didn't have the same like go get them that I had from previous experiences. And again, if you don't have those experiences, you don't know, you can't draw from it, right? So I was taking everything I had learned and everything I'd been put through and letting it use it to lead. I never wanted to be a leader. I hate being the center of attention. I know me talking like this, it doesn't seem like that, but I literally hate being the center of attention. So I was like, I struggled with, do I want to put in for sergeant because we have an opening, or do I just want to stay here like in the background and just like lead my other officers as we like talk and like help them work through their career? I put in, I said, you know what? I got to get out of my comfort zone. I got to try something. I put in for sergeant. There were 12 of us that tested, 3 or 4 of which who were already supervisors. We had a corporal and then sergeant. So they had already been doing that. I won. I tested decent enough to go on to the next levels where you actually had to prove that you could do parts of a sergeant's job. And I did very well on those, and they pulled me in, and I was like, I think my breath was taken away. Cause I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, okay. I knew in the back of my mind, I had everything within me to do it. I was just scared to do it. I didn't know that leading was something I could do. So I did that about a year and a half. And then the whole time I was a sergeant, I had had this nagging wrist pain, like right here. And I couldn't grip things great, my gun or people or anything. And I was like, I don't really need to be out here trying to grab people. Like when I can't grab them, like that's putting me at risk. That's putting others at risk. Like, yikes, let me get this looked at. So after a year of wearing a brace on my hand, going to calls like that, ripping it off on my way to a call so somebody couldn't see a weakness in me and like want to attack, I went to a doctor. They recommended surgery for de Quervain's something or other, tenosynovitis, I don't know, some weird thing, where basically this tendon is messed up and they go in, they cut, and they place your tendon back in the tendon sheath. You're supposed to be perfect after that. Like everything's back to normal. It was not. I did surgery, did physical therapy for months, got a second opinion, and they're like, well, I mean, we could go back in there, but we might nick a nerve and then you lose all feeling in your hand. And I didn't want to live with no feeling in my hand either. I'd rather just deal with the irritating pain I had had. So I finally had to make the decision. And I mean, thankfully, Wes kind of helped me make it. My husband, he wanted to go work in Council Bluffs Police Department. So we were moving to Omaha. And he helped me make that decision of, okay, November 16, this is where my police career ends. And it was something I never saw coming. I wanted nothing more than to be a homicide detective and bring those victims justice. It was nothing I ever wanted more than that. And so November 16, I gave it up. I had zero idea how hard it would be to get hired in any other field. I thought, holy crap, I was a police officer in the inner city. I was a detective. I became sergeant by the time I was 29 years old. Like, clearly, I have skills here. Clearly, somebody in the real world has to see value in this. And it was like a constant smack, smack, smack from all of these places, basically telling me I had no value or no worth. At least that's how it felt. And for 2.5 years, 2 years, I sat in one of the deepest depressions I've ever been in. And it took me watching strangers do fitness programs online for those 2 years and me sitting on my butt and getting fat and getting pissed off and just getting angry at the world because how dare they take this from me, for me to be like, you know what? I've got to see my own worth if I want other people to see it. So I joined one of these darn accountability groups, online fitness stuff. Changed my life. 90 days, completely different person. The old Jessica was back, better than ever, body wise, mindset wise, whatever. Thought, yes, this is something that changed my life. Like, I can help other people do this. Yes. No. No. Getting people to admit that they're in a place they don't want to be at and that they need help getting out of. I needed help being told what to eat, for gosh sakes. I was 30 some years old. I literally needed someone to tell me what to eat and when. That's what changed my life. I could do the workouts, but it took that. And so I did that for a couple years. And then I kept watching these people do this LimeLife thing. And I'm like, for God's sakes, these beauty people, for God's sakes, whatever. But they were gorgeous and they were showing up every day, and they were showing up in this way that it was a confidence I had really never seen. And I was like, okay, like, whatever, let me try this skincare. My girl reached out. I got some samples. I'm like, yep, let me try it. Bought it. I was one of those annoying customers, though. I was like, are you doing a bulk order so I don't have to pay for shipping? Because good God, $7 is going to break you. But I was that person. I needed the bulk order for me to keep using this stuff. And anytime I can get a discount, I am my dad's daughter. I'm going to do it. So I did the skincare September of 19 through, I think, February is when I needed a refill. I asked for the refill, but not the one with the mask, just the cleanser and moisturizer. So the Fresh Start collection. Got that bulk order again. And then March, the freaking world went upside down and inside out. And who knows what's happened to it since then. But the world went crazy March of 2020. And April, I was sitting on my hands at home because work was like, y'all are going to work remote, but we don't really have access yet. So just go home. You can't be in the buildings. Okay. Sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And I was like, what do I do? Well, those girls with the freaking skincare and makeup keep showing up and they're making money. And like, I might as well make money if I'm using it. Like, whatever. I just want a discount, I guess. I don't really want to do it. So I reached out and I said, Michaela, I want a discount on this product. I need the discount, actually. I don't have the money for the starter kit, which I did the $169 starter kit, but I'll find a way to make it work. Guess what? Real quick, I found a way to make that $169 work. And that took canceling all those little baby memberships to shit that I didn't need. Sorry if you're not a cusser. I cuss sometimes. But like Ipsy and FabFitFun and Fabletics and all those extra things where they're sending me crap every month that I don't use and I don't really want. I just like needed to be part of something. They're sending them to me. So I canceled all those, bought my starter kit. And I still, discount only. Don't come to me. I'm not building a team. I'm not doing this sales thing. Like, I love my fitness stuff. I'm going to keep doing that. Y'all, within 2 weeks of joining, there was a challenge and there was a sale. And I was asked to lead a team training on a Zoom because of my prior experience with being in the fitness world. And I was like, who are these women and why are they so supportive and why are they wanting me to lead trainings and why is everybody so damn welcoming? Like, what is going on? These women aren't real. Well, 17 or 18 months later, these women are more than real. And I have met more than what I initially met. And I have never felt so fulfilled or so called to be part of something. In the police world, it was weird because it was you were part of something bigger than yourself. And I thought I was never going to get that back. And then all of a sudden, I'm in this beauty industry, no experience with beauty, like whatsoever, trial and error my whole life. Wasn't a salesperson, not a recruiter by any means. And all of a sudden, I am part of this big, huge, ginormous like group of women who are actually supporting each other. That was something I have never had in my entire life. I was cheerleader, I was part of the volleyball team. It was so catty and stupid high school crap, and then the police department was even worse with women. It was like, "Ee." It was horrible. I've never had supportive women in my life until 17 months ago, April of 2020, whenever that was. And I don't know what I would do without these women in my life. I don't know what I would do without being able to bring more women to this world and just see what it's about. I tell people every day, I don't care if you spend $69 coming up for a business kit, $99, $100. I don't care if you pay that for a lifetime of a personal development community. If you've never had this experience, forget the sales, forget recruiting. Those will come. Trust me, you're going to want to be part of that. But if you get nothing else other than a community for the first time in your life and women who believe in you enough to make you finally believe in yourself, no matter how old you are, $169 is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. And I would pay it 100 million times over again to become the person I am today versus the person I was in April of 2020. And dear God, the person I was in my 20s. Like, there's not even a comparison. And this group, this community is what did that for me. I did the work. They showed me it could be done. I developed a if she can, why can't I attitude. So every time I feel myself holding myself back from anything, I just say, if she can sell $10,000 in a month, why can't I? It's going to be hard. Trust me. I am not a salesman. It is hard. But if she can do it, why can't I? If she can bring 5 new women at 50 years old into this who believe in themselves, which is a community that I was a part of growing up, that I never saw somebody in their 50s dream. I never saw them think there was more for their life. I never saw them think of themselves. It was always thinking of someone else. That's what I grew up around. That's what I like. It's so inspirational. And if you guys look around on the screen, you're going to see that there are women over 50 in here, and they are some of my best friends in this group. One, I think I'm comfortable because I grew up with that era, but to watch them freaking set their souls on fire, their friends' souls on fire, my soul on fire, it is something I've never experienced. And the mamas, you guys probably can't see any of the mamas on here. The mamas in our group, every single day when I watch them show up, I tell myself, if they can do that with all those babies, what am I doing? I have a cat, for God's sakes, and I have a husband that works nights. Like, I have zero excuse. I'm on opposite schedules. LimeLife gives me the opportunity to not worry about him. He's a cop when he's at work. It gives me an opportunity to focus on myself. I don't have kids that I have to pour into. It gives me the opportunity to pour into myself, but also take all the things I've been through and all the things I've learned and help other women be like, I went through something like that. Man, and I think there's no hope for me. I feel like there's nothing I can do to get better. I feel like life isn't meant for me to live that way. I don't know how to dream either. But gosh darn it, Jess shows up every day and she sets a new dream and she tells me I can do it. And she seems to freaking believe it. If that's what I get to do for a job, I'm here for it all day, every day. I have no idea how long I talked to you guys. I think that was like 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. But that is my story. I went a little more than the past 5 years, I guess. But that is my story. If you guys have any questions about any part of my story or what this community is, what this community can do for you, reach out to the beauty guide who invited you, reach out to me. I love to talk clearly, sorry. But I would love to chat with you before we hop off. If anybody wants to ask any questions, just put it in the chat. My IG is Beauty from the Ashes. Now, Instagram is weird and there's all kinds of punctuation things in your name. So it's beauty dot from the dot ashes. Facebook, Casey Jess is my actual personal page. I also have a group on there called Beauty from the Ashes. So if you want to get me anywhere, that's where you can get me. I didn't see any questions. So again, sorry, Angie and Michelle, for interrupting your dinner. And everyone, sorry for going a little over my time, but it was fun. I love chatting with you all. I will talk to you all very soon.